you doing, everyone?
So we just finished off our conversation with the Prime Minister and all the premiers. I thought it was very constructive. It went very well. We addressed the problems at the border. They have a plan, but there's one thing to have a plan, now we have to implement it. They fulfilled a couple asks, as I mentioned last time I was out here. I mentioned about Health Canada sharing their information about where fentanyl is coming from, where the ingredients are coming from. We're working on that, as well as open communication with other law enforcement between the RCMP, OPP, municipal, and right across the entire province. We asked for more boots on the ground for our CBSA officers and RCMP officers, and they agreed they're going to put more boots on the ground. They asked what the provinces can do to assist. I just want to emphasize the border is the Canadian federal government's responsibility. We will always be there to support. Our OPP are at the ready for any surge capacity if we see coming across our border, and I know the other regions across the country as well. But let's make no mistake about it, as I mentioned to the Prime Minister, the rest of the premiers, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100% on January the 20th or January 21st. We don't know what extent this fight's going to go to, but we need to line up everything that we're going to tariff and make sure that the tariff, the money that's coming from these tariffs, don't go into a federal bank account sitting there somewhere. It needs to be immediately distributed right across the province equally, and we'll be able to support the companies, the factories, the workers for any issues that they're facing at the time. So it's a good start. I look forward to having the premiers here. They're rolling in on Sunday. The balance will be here on Monday and Tuesday, and we'll be coming out to speak to the media as well then, and we look forward to a great conversation. We also mentioned to the Prime Minister that we need a follow-up call in the new year, well before President-elect gets sworn in, and I've been working every day talking to as many senators and congresswomen and men and governors, and so are my counterparts. And I just want to thank all the premiers. They're doing incredible work. They're out there communicating with their counterparts, no matter if it's the West Coast or the Maritime provinces, New England states. We have a full court press going on right now, and I'm very proud of my fellow premiers.
Premier, did the Prime Minister tell you where the $1 billion is going to go, or is it $1 billion for the new gear for the for CBSA, the RCMP, and also as a follow-up, did he give you any details of what where those retaliatory tariffs would be aimed on American goods?
No, Chrystia Freeland's going to put a list together. We're going to put our list together, and I'm sure the other provinces will as well. But we will go to the full extent, depending how far this goes. We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy, going down to Michigan, going down to New York State, and over to Wisconsin. I don't want this to happen, but my number one job is to protect Ontario, Ontarians and Canadians as a whole, since we're the largest province.
And on the gear?
On the gear, they're going to enhance gear, get more border patrol, more sniffer dogs, if you want to call them that, patrol dogs. They're going to make sure they have more drones and more opportunities to cover the border. They have asked us, and I have agreed that we will support them, again, temporarily, as long as it takes to get through this. But again, we emphasize the border is not our responsibility. I'll give you one example, a small police services down in Windsor. What a great group of people down there. CBSA does not have a boat to patrol the water on one of the largest border crossings in Canada. It's the Windsor Police that are going to be doing that. We're going to support them, possibly with a helicopter. I've directed my Solicitor General look at a cost to patrol everywhere from Windsor down to Niagara, and get Niagara and Hamilton helicopter as well. It's extremely important that we protect our borders.
Could you just go back to what you said on energy? Can you elaborate on what you're envisioning in terms of cutting them off?
Well, let's see what happens as we move forward. But we'll use every tool in our toolbox, including cutting them off energy that we're sending down there. Folks, this is coming. It's not if it is, it's coming. And it's coming January 20th or 21st. And we need to be prepared. We need to stand as a country. We need to stand united as Canadians and work hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues across the country, and we're ready to do it.
You didn't say anything about retaliatory tariffs on the news today. It was quite a different message you were giving to the Americans than the one you're giving right now. Why is that?
Well, we know it's coming, and hopefully it's not going to come as hard as we think. But if he comes out and he mentions that he's going to tariff everything, that's a big problem. It's a big problem for Canadians. It's going to be a big problem for Americans as well. But we will use every tool in our toolbox to fight back. We can't sit back and roll over. We just won't as a country. We never have. And isn't this a shame? Our closest friends and allies. It's amazing when I talk to our colleagues in the U.S. Total different story. They're pro-Canadian, pro-trade with Canadians. So we'll see what happens here.
Did you talk to the Prime Minister about his comments about Americans not electing Kamala Harris and how that was evidence of women's rights being under attack? Do you think those comments are helpful?
They aren't helpful at all, and yes, it was brought up in the, I'm not going to say who said what, but it was brought up a couple times in our meeting. It's not helpful at all. Donald Trump was elected democratically. If you like him or you don't like him, that's not our issue. We elect Canadians, and it was not helpful whatsoever. And I'm sure Prime Minister got the message loud and clear.
You told us a couple of weeks ago that when tariffs were brought into place the first time around, that it didn't really accomplish anything, that it was kind of a race to the bottom.
That's right.
You're changing your tune today, though. Why are tariffs now a tool that you're going to use, extreme ones as well? Why do you think they'll work this time?
Well, I think he's being a little more aggressive than he was in the past. And I say this respectfully to the president. He's a different type of cat, to say the least. Maybe I'm a different type of cat, but I've never seen not so much aggression, but so matter of fact. He didn't come across this way last time, and it's not helpful for both sides of the border. And at the end of the day, the consumer gets hurt. Canadians get hurt, but I can assure you one thing, the Americans are going to feel the pain as well. And isn't that unfortunate that that's going to happen? As I've said before, 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce parts and products to ship up to Ontario, and that's just Ontario alone. And we're the #1 export to 17 states and #2 to 11 others. But we will be on the phone every single day. Moving forward with our U.S. counterparts. We're going to continue running the ads, the premiers, and they absolutely loved it. They told me they're hearing it from their American counterparts, and I've encouraged all the premiers, and depends on what capacity they have. Some don't have the capacity that we do, to run ads. And if you can't run ads, communicate, fly down there. And I encourage the federal government. Ads work. Ads work on campaigns down in the U.S., and they'll work on our campaign down there, making sure that all Americans hear our voice.
Do you still want to meet with Trump?
Again, if he ever called up and said, sit down, I'd never refuse a meeting with any president. It doesn't matter who it is. I think we have to get our voice heard loud and clear. Things are extremely busy down there, putting people in different positions, like any new government. It gets a little hectic at the beginning, but they'll iron it out.
Did you have any advice from Trump's campaign or his people after appearing on Fox yesterday offering to fly down to Mar-a-Lago? Did anyone contact her?
No, not at all. We want to get this deal moving forward. We want to get this signed. I've made it very clear. We'd prefer to have a bilateral trade deal with the U.S. and a separate one with Mexico. But right now, we're 100% focused on the threats that we're getting through the Trump administration based on putting tariffs and securing our border.
Has your team reached out to the Trump team about going to Mar-a-Lago?
No, they haven't. Not at all.
It sounds like you're pretty confident these tariffs are coming. You don't think this is a cluster?
No, he's 100% these tariffs are coming.
To be clear,
And you no longer see Mexico as the bargaining chip here. Because a couple of weeks ago, Mexico was, enemy number one, essentially, but now it's no longer. You guys are kind of...
Oh, no, I'm never think that Mexico is clear on this. They're a problem. It's not the Mexican people. They're really good people. It's when they're importing Chinese goods and slapping into Mexico, slapping on a made in Mexico sticker, and moving forward. Mexico has a very clear choice. You're either with Beijing or you're with Washington. And I can tell you, Ontario and Canadians, they're with Washington. And that's going to be up to the Mexican president to make a decision, and she'll have to make that decision.
to be
This
clear,
was the last
Premier,
question.
you believe the plan the Premier presented to you today is one that will work, one that will appease Trump. You feel that way?
Well, I think we have to, polish it up a little bit, but it's a very, very good start. I do give their team credit. They came to the table, and like any plan, it evolves as we move forward, and we'll move forward as a collective group across the country. And this is all about Team Canada working together, and I look forward to having the premiers here on Sunday and moving forward. The rest will be here on Monday and Tuesday, and I'll make sure that they're accessible to each and every one of you throughout that whole time. But I just want to thank you for allowing me to come out today and say a few words, and we'll get through this. Maybe a few bumps, but in the long term, we're strong, we're Ontarians, and we're going to get through it. I'm very confident. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.